the house, rattled the windows, to the point that I had children home with me. I made them run outside. It didn't seem like a good idea to be indoors. It was that level of shaking of the building.
The impact was also felt here at Shanksville's schoolhouse, directly on the flight path of the doomed jet.
It shook the building to the point that ceiling tiles fell from the interior ceilings.
As we stood out on the driveway, you could hear the sound of the siren in Shanksville calling our local volunteer fire department to respond to the crash site.
When this tragedy did occur, the community stepped up as expected. It's no surprise to me that they stepped up and addressed it. It was something far beyond anything they've ever dealt with before, but you would have never known it.
Those on the scene quickly felt the support of local residents.
The troopers that were along the road, the people would go to work in the daytime, they'd give them keys to their house, say, here, use the bathroom if you need to, and things like that. We had more food sent up there than we knew what to do with. It was just unbelievable.
You know, when you live in the country and you live in small towns, you take care of each other, you know each other.
Given that the plane crashed here, many people decided to care for this place and volunteer to do what they could to make the best of this terrible situation here. We've formed a volunteer group that works at the temporary memorial, and now we'll work at the permanent memorial, greeting these visitors that come here from around the world, answering their questions, making sure they have the best possible experience here.
The volunteer effort is one of the stories the National Park Service is recording as part of a larger oral history project.
You'll hear about why someone would volunteer every single week to come out here and listen and cry with others for 10 years. Just to be a part of this, to honor the passengers and crew.
Back in Shanksville, the volunteer fire department proudly displays a cross made from steel beams recovered from the World Trade Center. A special memorial garden containing inspirational quotes carved in stone was planted alongside the town's school. The man who carved these stone messages now serves as the school's secondary principal. Thoughts of the victims and their families are never far away.
We're very sympathetic towards their loss. We do have a working relationship with some of the family members of Flight 93 who have established scholarships here at the school in memory of their loved ones. And each year there are several individuals that come in and interview our students to determine who will be provided with those scholarships. So we do have a direct working relationship, and there is a lot of concern and caring for those families who suffered this great loss.
I think the families know that of any place to go down, that was a good spot because of, you know, everybody helping out, and you know, the families can rest assured that will be taken care of, and their loved ones won't be forgotten.
And of course, the reason we're here right now is to honor all the heroes who didn't hesitate to take a stand in the face of adversity. But I also want to take a little time to talk about the psychological impact of Flight 93. I'm here now with Drexel University Professor Ben Prybutak, who is an expert in Homeland Security, along with Dr. David Yusko, who is a psychologist with the University of Pennsylvania. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us.
Pleasure to be with you.
Ben, let's talk a little bit about the impact of Flight 93 and the community response. What does it tell us in terms of our collective memory of September 11th, that this community and these people on board that flight came together in the manner in which they did?
The actions of the passengers and crew remind me of the comments of a Frenchman, Alexis de Tocqueville, who in 1831 commented on American voluntarism and spontaneity as being part of our national character. It's in that vein that I think the actions were iconic. And in the context of the war on terror, we can say that the actions of the passengers showed the rest of us the way.
We heard earlier, Doctor, from a guest who said that she had been psychologically impacted by this. And yet I find myself, and I'm sure other people do, watching the video and feeling a connection to these people, even though I didn't know them. Mm-hmm. Have you seen that? Have you witnessed that over the last 10 years, that people have a connection to someone they never even knew?
Oh, absolutely. I think regardless of how close in proximity you were to the events of 9/11, people were touched deeply by them, and it didn't matter whether you were in California or somewhere else abroad. People have an ability to be empathic and feel the pain and suffering of others, and this was a historically unique event for Americans.
Do we connect to them because they took control and saved us from even further destruction on that day? Is there just something about that that we connect to mentally?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, here's something in the face of absolute devastation. These people stepped up and acted in a way that you see on television, you see in movies, and this is real life heroism right in front of all of our eyes. It's amazing.
What about the location of this particular event? Does it affect us from a security standpoint that it happened in a rural area, or do you think the reaction would have been the same if it had been in a bigger area?
One of the messages Al-Qaeda hopes to convey is a sense of universal vulnerability, that we are all targets and that they can strike anywhere and any time with impunity, and it doesn't have to be in New York or Washington. So you could say from that standpoint, Al-Qaeda's mission was partially successful, but it was the passengers that saw to it that we're not memorializing Flight 93 today at the site of the Capitol building.
How important is it then that a memorial be built at the site of the crash? And how important is it that people don't forget, even though we don't have visual images of that flight being crashed, that it was equally as important as the others?
I think it's very important. I think it's important nationally that we demonstrate as a people that we share both the grief and the pride of the families. I think that's important for them, and I think it's important to us as a nation.
Do you agree that a memorial will help with the healing process and help us as a nation continue to recover from September 11th?
Without a doubt. People have been using rituals and rites to overcome difficult things in life as far back as we can remember. And I think that there's a memorial to the beginning of our fight back against Al-Qaeda and to the memories of these people. It's long overdue.
What do you make of the information that we learned earlier in the show about people wanting to leave mementos, leaving a little piece of themselves behind? Is that our way, again, of connecting with these victims?
Yeah, being a part of something that is now a part of everyone's history here as an American. And we all want to leave something of ourselves with people whom we have a lot of respect for. And I think that you saw it across all three sites for this event.
And thank you both for joining us. I've been honored this past hour to be able to pay tribute to the courageous men and women of Flight 93. Now, according to the National Park Foundation, the memorial is still in need of funding to complete the final phase of construction. So if you'd like to learn more about Flight 93 or you'd like to make a donation, you can go to honorflight93.org or you can call 202-354-6488. I'm Lynn Doyle. Thank you for watching.